Good evening, everyone. My name is Rob Dalton. I am the English Department Chair here at MMA. I am delighted to welcome everyone to the 90th Annual Wallace Fry Speech Competition. This evening, 5 of these cadets will vie for the Wallace Fry Speaking Award. In 1932, the late Judge Fry of the MMA class of 1903 inaugurated his award to be presented to the cadet whose speech is judged best, to be the best on the basis of delivery, content, and depth of thought. An additional incentive was added to the contest in 1970 when Westminster College in Fulton, Missouri provided the Sir Winston Churchill Memorial Award. The Churchill plaque goes to the candidate who speaks most persuasively on behalf of a just cause. To represent our middle schooler cadets, the Joy McGeorge Orator Champion is awarded to the middle school participant whose speech is judged best on persuasive or argumentative content. Joy was the wife of MMA's 10th president, Mr. Charles A. McGeorge. The contestants will speak in the order shown in your program without introduction. Our judges this evening are as follows. Mr. Chris Miller, feel free to stand and wave. Mr. Chris Schaefer. And Ms. Betty Jo Seidenstricker. Before our speakers begin, I ask that everyone remain seated during the speeches and hold your applause until all are through. So without further ado, let us begin the speaking contest.
Good evening, my name is Cadet Bowman, and for my speech, I got this idea from Mr. Dalton's speech and debate class when he previewed to us parts of his humanity class for next year. I came across a question that was perfect for this speech because I believe the best speeches are ones where you can learn from a person's personal story. The question is, what is the toughest trial you have ever had to face, and what did you learn from it? For me, my toughest trial is not something that you'd find familiar to a kid belonging to a part of a generation that is considered to be weak, lazy, and entitled. For my toughest trial started when I was 10 years old. On March 5th, 2014, around 8 a.m., I learned what it was like to witness death, specifically the death of my mom. I learned the pain that death can cause, but I never learned the extent of that pain until the summer of 2020. Starting when I was 10, I made multiple mistakes that led to where I am today. And with pride, I can say that I went through hell and came out a stronger person. Yet, I never really learned what my choices' consequences were until last summer. I was looking for the reason as to why I acted the way I did, why I did so many bad things, why I was so disrespectful, defiant to all the people who loved, cared, and trusted for me. And I couldn't figure out why. It bothered me almost every single night, every single day, because as humans, we want to learn the answer as to why, the reason as to why something is what it is. And it drives us crazy when we can't, and it especially drives us crazy when we have the feeling that we may never find out why. Except one day, I did find out why. And when I did, it wasn't a good feeling. It wasn't like a celebration or a job well done. It was honestly just a punch to the gut. It felt pretty bad because I realized the reason why I had done all the bad things I did wasn't because life was unfair. It wasn't because I was thrown too many hardships through life. It was because I just refused to accept my mom's death. And sadly, that was what caused me to hurt family members, friends, people that loved and cared for me. And to be honest now, today, I just want to say sorry to the people that I did hurt, and I just wanted to say thank you to the people that didn't give up on me, like friends at MMA, family at home, and friends outside of MMA, because when you think about it, it doesn't matter the challenges life throws at you, it matters who's around you to help you through life's challenges. And those people around you can make those challenges easier or difficult. So what I've learned is that challenges life throws at you suck. You can't find any other way around it except to go through it or overcome them. But the people around you is what makes it easier and what makes it feel not as hard to get around. Because for family and friends, you can overcome anything. Thank you.
Love, honor, and truth. Three values. Three values that define an institution. A place that is just a school for some, but a home for others. Warm greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming and making this event a success. I am Cadet René Garcia Garza from Cadereyta Jimenez, Nuevo León, Mexico. I am a senior, and this is my 4th year at MMA. Before going further, I want to please ask the audience to raise your hand if you have ever learned something while at MMA. Well, I can tell you that I have. During my time at the academy, I have learned all sorts of things, all the way from shining my shoes to how to clean my room to how to spin or shoot a weapon. But today I don't want to talk to you about shining shoes or how to spin a rifle. I want to talk to you about 5 important lifelong lessons MMA has taught me and my brothers. Number 1, value. Value things around you. It might be a family member or your pillow. Every single one of us cadets did not value something until we came to MMA. Coming to MMA helped us value things in a more deeper way whenever we go back home. This is because, tell me, how many of you enjoyed your beds back home as much as you do now that you came to MMA? I don't think none of you. So, with this being said, remember that whenever you're with your family or you get some kind of privilege, you need to enjoy it and value it as much as you can, because you never know whenever it's gonna be gone. Point number 2, inspire and motivate people around you. If there's something me and my brothers I have learned from MMA, it is about the power of motivation and inspiration. These two can make people do the impossible. Whenever you motivate or inspire a person, they will do their absolute hardest, and they will do pretty much anything to accomplish that goal or task you're giving them. This is why, if you want to be a leader in society, you need to start by inspiring and motivating others. Number 3, have a battle buddy. How many of the people in the audience have a best friend? I know I have, and I think most of us do. Well, in MMA, like in life, you need a best friend. A best friend that will cover your back. A best friend that will do anything for you. A best friend that will give their life for you. This is because we need to remember that we cannot handle everything by ourselves, and that sometimes we need somebody to keep us in check. So, with this being said, always remember that fighting a war is easier to fight it with somebody than fighting it alone. Point number 4, never give up. I will please ask everybody to raise your hand if you have ever get fired from a leadership position at MMA or in a job. I have get fired before. But like the BC says, life has ups and downs, hills and lows, but never give up. Whenever I was a sophomore, I was a Bravo Company 1st Platoon Sergeant. After a while, I got fired. But this didn't stop me. I kept working to come back to a leadership position, and now I am here, the Battalion XO of the 133rd Corps of Cadets. So with this being said, please take example of the fire leaders that are raised back up, and always remember that doesn't matter how many times you fall, you need to stand back up to accomplish your dreams. The last point, this is actually a quote. Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it. What do I mean with this quote? Well, what I mean is enjoy your time. Enjoy every minute of high school, every minute of MMA, every minute of life, every minute you have with your family or friends. Enjoy it. because they will not repeat. Time goes by too fast, especially whenever you are at MMA. If you don't believe me, you can ask the seniors. Time goes pretty fast. So with this being said, remember that life can go by in the blink of an eye. And with this, everything could be gone, and you could be going to the next big step in life. Lastly, to conclude, I just want to say, value and enjoy time with family and friends and people around you. Never give up while leading, motivating, and inspiring others. And believe me, you will live a life that you will not regret. Not just because you will be impacting other people's lives, but because you will be changing the world. Thank you.
How's everyone doing tonight? Before I speak, I'd like to formally introduce myself to those of you that don't already know me. My name is Mason Clutching. I'm 17 years old. I'm from Chadds Ford, Pennsylvania. I lived in Boston for most of my life, where nearly all of my extended family currently lived, and moved to Pennsylvania when I was about 11 years old. I've lived in Pennsylvania for basically the entirety of my teenage years. I feel like sharing a little bit about myself will make this speech more memorable, being able to link this speech with a name and an age. That's the purpose of this speech, to spread a message that I think is important. Now let's begin. How you cannot have success without happiness. Across the world, billions of people have been trying to achieve success and happiness for centuries. And billions of people have achieved it. Success can be defined in very different manners. Some individuals don't understand it for what it is. I'm here to persuade you or change your view on what success really means. From my standpoint, success is not going to be based on what you own and what you can buy, although many people base their success on their assets and other things they own. I would not define this as success. These are more like personal goals on a long, long road to find success. People think that you're required to own a nice car and wear nice clothing to be successful. That's false. As previously stated, these are more like personal goals. Let's be honest. Who wouldn't want to drive around all day in the top-of-the-line Mercedes, turning heads as you cruise by? I know I would. But I wouldn't spend my entire life working to get there, then stop when I do. That's how I know material items are a goal. Success is something that you work for your entire life and sometimes never reach. Someone growing up should not need to believe that the only way to achieve success is to turn heads. Success is an intriguing word and concept. It's something that you, and only you, can fabricate in your mind. It can't be put there by someone else. Nobody else can define what your success in life should be. Someone's judgment should never change how you want to be successful. What I want for myself is going to be different than what my peers want. Sometimes it's similar, some of the times it isn't. My success is defined by my happiness. If I'm not happy, I truly do not think I'm successful. It's as simple as that. This is how success should be viewed by everybody. Anyone can tell me I'm wrong, but it won't change my mind. There's not a real strong argument that could change my mind on this subject. Many people view success based on their happiness. I had an experience once in my life when I was in New York City with my family, going to an auction, and I saw something that made me think. There's a group of men who looked as though they lived right there in Central Park. They were all together in a small group, sitting underneath tarps and on top of boxes, laughing and smiling. It looked like these guys were happy. They looked like they'd achieved something that millions of people struggle to do: happiness. While on this trip to New York, I saw hundreds of people dressed in nice suits and expensive coats. Not one of those men had a smile on their face. Not one of them was laughing or seemed to be enjoying themselves at that moment. That's another thing about success. You aren't successful unless you're always happy. Sure, you'll have those days where you're feeling down, but if you're successful, there's always going to be something that can help you get back to smiling. Material items are just goals on your road to success, nothing more. I encourage you to sit there and write down what material objects you want, and in 10 years, go back and revisit. Tell me if half of what you wrote down is still on that list. Living life to the fullest is something you hear often, as well as you only live once and other similar terms. Those homeless men may have looked like they had nothing. But which one of you was living your life to the fullest, happier than ever, knowing that there might have been a mistake that might have landed there on those streets, but as everybody knows, you can come back from mistakes. Mistakes will just make you stop and redefine what you want. One of my favorite quotes ever came from Bob Marley while being interviewed about his possessions and how they make him feel rich. He said, "Possessions make you rich? I don't have that type of richness. My riches are life forever." Some individuals who have reached the highest levels in life don't even acknowledge the money or possessions they have. They acknowledge the life that comes from it and the happiness they've made for themselves. Another example of how material items don't define your success is Kurt Cobain. At a time, he had everything. He revolutionized the genre of grunge rock music and made millions doing it. But he suffered from it more than anything. He was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and depression as he had reached what we would define as the top. Being depressed and having all this money did not make Cobain happy. His spike in fame led him down up the path of drugs and other dangerous substances. Ultimately, he ended up taking his own life at the age of only 27 years old. Feeling sad and unsuccessful, and buying something for yourself, thinking that it will change, will only help you for so long. There's such a thing as having too much. Since your success is defined based on happiness, strong mental health is one of the most important things one can have. Being strong mentally is going to be necessary for success in life. Without stable mental health, it's going to be important to make the best decisions to support the people around you. Dragging the people down will hurt you more than you'd ever know. One thing my father stresses to me, surround yourself with people who make you, your best self. Having strong people around you is the most major way to achieve success. Famous actor and comedian Robin Williams once said, "I used to think the worst thing in life was to end up all alone. It's not. The worst thing in life is to end up with people who make you feel alone." Robert Williams achieved greatly in everything he did. Unfortunately, he suffered from depression and various forms of dementia and took his own life. Happiness is an incredibly good way to find success. A message I'd pass to anyone who's looking to achieve success is to try to find what makes you happy. I still haven't found what that may be, but I will spend the rest of my life trying to find it if that's what it takes. Anyone living in poverty can find happiness and to be successful in their minds. It's not up to anyone else to define your success. The most important thing to you is what you perceive it to be. Whatever makes you happy will make you successful. This is something I've passed on to a few people in my life who have struggled independently, making sure that they know they need to try to find happiness, even if they're giving up. You may have struggled with issues along the way, but it doesn't matter. You need to face those issues instead of letting them eat you alive. You absolutely cannot be scared to fail. As I mentioned before, the terms live life to the fullest and you only live once play a major role in your life. My father has failed, my grandfather had failed, but that never put a stop to them wanting to find their happiness and success. My grandfather contributed to building a major corporation from the ground up alongside his father and brothers. My father raised a son and a daughter and has dealt with the hardships, time, and energy that comes along with it. He built his own business, and he's never once said he's afraid to fail. He knows failure is going to happen, and he's ready to just get right back up. Neither my father nor grandfather will ever base their happiness on materialistic things. They will always say that their greatest success and thing that has made them the most happy was creating a family and having a happy environment for them to live in. Something everyone needed to take away from this: failure is simply the opportunity to begin again, this time more intelligently. I leave you with one more thing, a brief poem written by Ralph Waldo Emerson that was read by my aunt at my grandfather's funeral because she truly knew that he lived a happy and successful life. What is success? To laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition. To know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded. Thank you.
As I prepare, I must say that last speech got me pretty hyped up. I was feeling a little unsure, but That speech kind of got me going. All right, so good evening, to be formal. My name is Cadet Dave Matthews, and I would like to bring to you a speech on how to change someone's mind and hopefully the world. Think about this. When is the last time you've entered an argument where one, or even both of you, walked away wiser than you were before you began the exchange? As you ponder on that, when is the last time you entered an argument where one, or most likely both of you, walked away with hot heads and clenched fists? You don't have to scour your memory for too long to find several instances of the latter. That is not a good thing. That most discourses we enter ended nothing but anger? At that point, what is the purpose of arguing at all? Well, it's a good thing that all that is behind you, because after tonight, you'll be able to make any discourse a respectful, productive, and most importantly, a changing experience. 1, you must state your opinion. We don't like to be wrong. It's just human nature. So how can you tell someone that they are wrong without them immediately taking offense and shutting you out? The answer is to pander. And while it may seem backwards, think of it like this. You are numbing the area before you put the syringe in. One essential element of pandering is to relate to them. For example, say, I see where you're coming from, and then incorporate your stance. Number 2, separate the topic from the person. You must be critiquing their stance on the subject, not critiquing them as an individual. If you begin to make comments on them, they will be defensive and tune out your comments. Number 3, know what you're talking about. The situation is hopeless if you aren't 100% sure that you are correct. Have your research done? And the second you bring up some reputable research or rock-solid statistics, you have just gained a big foothold. Number 4, listen more than you speak. There's a reason you have 2 ears and only 1 mouth. Never be the first to state your opinion or lay out your stance. And when they speak, listen closely. Look for and identify common fallacies. Store them in the back of your mind until they finish talking. After that, point them out in a respectful way where they can clearly see why they were wrong. Number 5, be firm in your opinion. If you know you're right, show it. You can't convince anybody of anything unless you have the confidence to back it up. Number 6, and the most important, know which discussions to enter and know when to leave toxic discussions. Never enter an exchange about religion or a debate purely on subjective or moral beliefs. 99% of the time, they will not end well. And of course, know when to leave. If the topic is totally shifted and they're coming at you on a personal level, or they're getting angry, that is your cue to leave. Now, why did I just list off all these steps on how to change someone's mind? Well, in 7th and 8th grade, I was part of the debate team. And going into that, I didn't realize how much you could possibly defend a stance that you completely did not believe. Now, how can you do this? How can you completely defend a stance that you don't even believe? People are very, very good at arguing, but you don't see it much. If you look at the news and most of the mainstream media, they mostly wage an endless war where each throws slander and defacing comments at each other, hoping to bury them. One politician after another throws themselves on top of one another, trying to make their opponents look foolish. It seems almost perpetual. When will this toxic system end and make way for civilized political discourse? When will our nation's finest learn to get along, throw away petty disagreements, and do what is right for our nation's progression? I believe I have an answer. That answer starts with just one speech and just one influenced listener. That's right. I believe that if you take these steps, apply them in your life, practice respectful discourse in all situations, and influence others, then maybe, just maybe, one debate at a time, the world will become that much better. Thank you.
Ladies, gentlemen, and beloved faculty and staff, I hope everyone is having a great night, and I wish the best of the future to my brothers. Today's topic for my speech is something that you may hold close to your heart. Maybe some of you have had a past experience with my topic, or hopefully this topic won't cross your path at all. By now, you're probably clutching onto your seats just wondering what exactly my speech is. Well, just to get out of the way, it's suicide. There are a lot of different viewpoints about suicide in the public eye, but why should there? If you ask me, 100 times out of 10, I would say it's never the answer to any problem whatsoever. But to some people, it may feel as if it's their only option, to feel better, to grant themselves the satisfaction that they needed. But the hardest part about suicide isn't the part where they take their own life. It's the outcome. The part where they leave their loved ones behind, the ones they call their family, friends, husbands, and wives behind. That is where the true sorrow begins in the aftermath of this devastating occurrence. From the day-to-day that we cry and reminisce about the special memories, not knowing if it would be the last. The ones who have committed suicide think that they're taking a burden off shoulders, but in reality, it causes much more burden knowing that you might have been able to save that person. My friend Kevin Wallen, as many of you know, as the Sergeant Major, said that people who end their lives early are just angels trying to find a way back home but don't know how. Now, before I get emotional, I need to put a perspective onto this situation that happens in our everyday lives. All my viewpoints in this speech are directly from the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Suicide is the 12th leading cause of death in the U.S. Now, that may not seem as bad, but when you think about all the other possible ways that someone can choose to lose their life, that's the 12th option that comes to mind. On an average, there are 130 suicides per day. 130 people. Just to put that into perspective, more than half of the people in this room just vanished. Out of the 130 people who die in the U.S. every day, who knows? Maybe one of those people would have grown to be a doctor to save your life from a deadly disease, or maybe the next scientist to find the cure for the next major outbreak. They're gone. All because of a reason that we will never truly know. The age-adjusted suicide rate in 2022 is 13.48. These are kids we're talking about. The first ever steps I took on this campus were at the age of 13. Just a kid without a care in the world, except for maybe a few missing assignments here and there. But I was a child. I didn't know any better. It makes you wonder just how much stress and darkness goes through a child's mind, and how much stress does a 13-year-old kid go through within one day. Once again, an answer that we will never truly understand. A person's mental health truly is the most important way for someone to be your healthiest. If you're not doing well mentally, then how could you be, quote-unquote, healthy? Now, almost everyone in this room is a parent, sibling, teacher, etc. But at some point in your life, you've had someone close to you who you share interests with, whether it's blood, by law, or maybe just someone you've grown attached with. Either way, you have grown these feelings towards a person that will never feel the same about anyone else. I want you to imagine that person right now. Think about all the times you spent with that person. Imagine all the possibilities you guys had for a future. Now gone. How you can imagine growing old with that person sadly fades away. Every promise you made with that person is now broken. Every time you cried or laughed, you didn't know that it would be the last. You loved that someone, and now it just went blank. All those dear memories made were just a distant past to have never made any new ones again. Never to be seen again. At least that's what it felt like for me. Now, we're all people with different mindsets, and that's fine, but we all share the same thing. We love, we cry, and we laugh. And we have emotions that seek someone to share them with. And now it's all gone, never to be talked about again. Now I'm 18 years of age, and in that tiny bit of time I've spent on this earth, I have not made not friends, but brothers and sisters that I gratefully welcome into my life as my family. But a friend in particular is the main reason why I chose this to be my topic for my speech today. This man was a true inspiration in my eyes. He looked failure in the eyes and never backed down. And if failure overcame him, he would always ask for a rematch. This guy wasn't just a friend, he was my role model. Someone who you would see on a billboard on your way to the academy. This man taught me everything I had to know about starting off on the right foot, or I guess in MMA's case, the left foot. He taught me everything about the MMA experiences and how to be a better cadet. Whether it's shining my shoes or making my bed, this man taught me what I needed to get through the next 5 years. He was a company commander for Delta Company, and everyone who lived under his authority would tell you nothing but good things. After he graduated, he decided to join and enlist in the National Guard. He wanted to serve in the military to become more of an amazing person than he already was. Not only that, but he was expecting to get married and even having a child. This man had every bit of his life coming at him at once, and he was just the age of 20 years old. He was looking to have a pretty decent life and was growing into a very mature and confident young man. But the unexpected happened. Everything changed. Because he decided to take his own life. Now, the reasons are unclear to why he would do such a thing. What I do know is that suicide will never be the answer. No matter how many times you fail, you get back up. A mentor's favorite quote to tell cadets went, "Fall 7 times, stand up 8. At the end of the day lies another one to make better." And in July of last year, my mother and I flew out to Missouri to attend my best friend's funeral. I had the privilege to speak at his funeral, and I would like to share with you the speech that I gave so you can realize the pain I went through to see my best friend being put to rest. Today, we all have something that we share in common. We all have Reese. And today is a day where we remember him not only for the amazing person he was, but for the image he displayed before us. If you were to ask me who was always there for you, I would say Reese. If you were to ask me who was always up for a challenge, I would say Reese. If you would ask me who was always went the extra mile, I would say Reese. Reese was my platoon sergeant when I was in 8th grade. And let me say, I really could not ask for a better platoon sergeant. He was reasonable as much as he was caring. He cared for his kids so much that he made sure that we never fell apart. Whether it's preparing us for morning inspection or taking us out for morning PT, he would always put in 110% effort into everything he did. While Reese attended MMA, he excelled in the military and the education part of the academy. Reese taught me everything I needed to know about being a cadet by setting the example. I look up to Reese the way I look up to a leader. And if there's one thing we all can agree on, is that Reese was a leader. Reese meant business, and there was nothing he hated more than a lazy person. He always made sure that we were busy and on our toes, which made us all better leaders ourselves. I always try to look at the good times with Reese, and with him, it's a bottomless list of memories. Although there are so many memories with Reese, he did teach us all valuable life lessons. He made us into amazing leaders by giving us an example of what one was supposed to look like. Reese took pride in everything he's ever done. Reese was born to be a leader. He would later take the role of company commander. Although it wasn't the position he wanted, it was the position he deserved. I remember when he told me he got company commander and he was confused. I later told him he was meant for the role and to go out and change those cadets' lives just like how he changed mine. I will forever cherish the moments I spent with Reese and having him by my side. Reese will forever live in our hearts as a son, a father, and what meant to me most, my brother. To the parents of Reese who are watching back home, you guys raised an amazing son who changed a lot of people's lives. Reese, I will forever remember you, and I love you, brother. Reese's son was born a few months later and looks just like him. Same eyes, same nose, same facial features. It looks like looking at my friend again. But his son will never have the chance to see his father, all because his father was going through stuff that we couldn't possibly imagine. Suicide is never the answer. The goal of this speech is for everyone to realize that not everything is what it may seem. There's a saying in Japanese culture that a person has 3 faces. One that they show to the outside world, their family or loved ones. Another one is one that they keep hidden and is only known to that one that is not shown. The last one is the fact that we are afraid to accept what scares us. People go day to day without a smile and no emotion behind it. They become so numb to the world in this society that they do not care for others or even themselves. Those people have given up on fighting those inner thoughts that they've had for so long. Ones that they are battling with every day and not a single soul will ever know about it. Yeah, they might seem okay on the outside, but what are they going through on the inside? Now, onto a happier subject, I'm telling everyone in this audience to smile with emotion and show care. To make memories like it's your last with someone, or everyone. To cry, to laugh, to show emotion with those you are close to. You only get one life and live it to the fullest. Live with no regrets. Live like it's your last. Conquer the day ahead of you. There will always be a better day. Make sure to remind that person that you hold to heart that you love them. And make sure they realize how much they mean to you, because they deserve it. Now, I have one wish for everyone in this audience today. That is to live, laugh, and love. Thank you.
Oof. Wait, let me just quickly. A leader is one who, out of clutter, brings simplicity. Out of discord, harmony, and out of difficult, opportunity. Good evening, cadets, faculty, staff, judges, and the people who are watching online. This quote made by Albert Einstein establishes the subjects I will touch on today. The leadership in Missouri Military Academy. In this world, leadership is one of, if not the critical factors in our society. From politics to projects to your everyday life, leadership is involved with every single activity you do and will do for the rest of your life. At Missouri Military Academy, leadership is happening all the time. It is encouraged to us cadets as much as possible. Therefore, cadet leaders are working all the time with their cadets, all day long. Leadership at Missouri Military Academy also gravely impacts a cadet's leader's life. They have to wake up early to quickly clean their room or maybe even do their personal hygiene. They have to study while at the same time making sure their cadets are studying too. Cadet leaders, like platoon sergeants, have to be present in the platoon halls, making sure cadets are doing what they're supposed to. Leaders at Missouri Military Academy have to also be extremely respectful to everyone towards them. They can't use any type of harsh language or use their power to their advantage. All of these small details can really impact a cadet leaders here. But the main problem for cadet leaders, or the school, is the cadets themselves. Cadets in Missouri Military Academy come to the school for many different reasons. For some people, it could be education. For other people, it's tradition, me. But sometimes there are people who their parents send them here because of their unacceptable behavior. With those cadets being in the school, they might improve on themselves. But some of those cadets in the school, but some of these cadets in the school still want to trouble other people. I do not want to name these people, but these are the ones who mostly bring negativity to everyone in the school. They skip formations for many events, always show disrespect to others, on and on. This chain makes the leaders give up positions that are very important and valuable. This only ends up ruining the system. In my opinion, it's like a chain that makes other people lazy and irresponsible. Think of it as like a virus, slowly and steadily infecting until it's done with everything. This really fractures me because I know this school can do better, and I know it will soon enough. When one of my brothers came here to the school 6 to 7 years ago, they told me a lot of stories. They told me that people here were more strict and listened to their leaders. Sure, there were still people that were plain rascals at that time, but that show a lot of signs of irresponsibility in the military side of the school. As me being a legacy cadet, it demonstrates me how two different time periods with different people can impact this school majorly. Sure, this school's leadership might have been better in the past, with it being extremely strict. But that doesn't take away the opportunity the future may give us. Next year, I know the school will improve on its leadership. I know the people in this school will be able to deal with itself and find better ways to fix itself, to fight alongside brother to brother. So future, MMA will blast all your problems to shards. Thank you.
Hello, and thank you for listening to my speech. I wanted to talk about something very important, and it is about the Corps of Cadets. I believe that an impactful speech derives from something that is important, from awareness in our life, something that we want to change, or our views of points to be known about. Good evening, and let's start. In preparation for the new year, I wanted to let it be known that we have to set a better example. Whenever I came here and I was a new boy, which I believe I still am, I haven't even done the first year. So I believe we have to treat each other better and that we have to be better at leadership. Because my leaders are the ones who shaped me, and I have a lot to thank to them. They were the ones who helped me settle here. They were the ones who helped me make my bed. They were the ones who made me and others achieve a certain kind of success. I believe that if we do simple things, going up to cadets and trying to treat each other better, then the next corps will take example from that, and then it will be like, hey, look at those cadets. Maybe I should join in and create a better environment instead of trying to make a fool of ourselves. We also have to strive to thinking that we're not better than others or worse than others. We might be better at something and not even realizing it. Then somebody might ask something from us, and we might realize our true talent and something unexpected. We might ask for help from them, and then we will have a friendship. We will see them from everyday life, and we eventually will meet those cadets. Those cadets will help us through everyday life. They will be there for us. We have to take into account our leaders. Those leaders are the professionals who are shaping us for the real world. We might think they're not always the best, but they're still trying their best to be professionals themselves. Some of them may already have reached this criteria, but we have to also have an understanding of them. We have to do the little things right. If we aren't able to get the big things done, then we won't be able to succeed as a whole. So what I'm trying to say is that we have to get a better community here, and then maybe we can change the world. So I wanted to say and summarize these points quickly. Number 1, teamwork. Number 2, be understanding. Number 3, quality. Number 4, professionalism. Number 5, and last, being a leader, striving for success. Hope you will take into regard what I just said. If we can take all these values into account, I hope we can make a better tomorrow for the future of Corps and for the better of the cadets. Thank you.
To quote Sir Winston, if you have an important point to make, don't try to be subtle or clever. Use a pile driver. Hit the point once, then come back and hit it again. Then hit it a third time, a tremendous whack. I believe these young men have done just that. Let's give them another round of applause, please. We're going to take approximately a 10-minute break while the judges deliberate. Thank you, and we will be right back. Before we continue, could I please ask General Tracy, if you would please join me up here to present tonight's winners. For our middle school cadet, winner of the Joy McGeorge Award is Cadet Sanchez. Please. The winner of the Sir Winston Churchill Memorial Award, Cadet Garcia Garza. And the winner of the Wallace Fry Cup, Cadet Sangster. Folks, I know you are as proud of these cadets as I am. And I would like to thank you all for being here tonight. I believe that this event reveals some of the great academic things that we are doing here at MMA. Please enjoy the rest of your evening, and good night.